I'm Russell Harvey. I'm CTO at RDX Works. And the thing that I am most fired up about for the Babylon release is it's actually a selfish thing. It's the fact that I finally get to tell my friends that they can now safely get into crypto, because as the resident, tech guy in the group, they have been hounding me for I want to get into crypto. I want to get into crypto, and I've been just saying, it's too wild. It's too woolly. It's too unsafe. And I will finally get to the point where I get to say, come on in, guys. It's ready for you. I remember the very first time that someone got me to take a serious look at the blockchain world was in early 2016. My friend was very excited about Ethereum, and he wanted me to take a look at it. And I started doing my research and playing with it. And what I found was that this is super cool. There's a ton of potential here. I love this idea of this globally distributed network that can execute code and come out with a result, and it's not run by any individual party. But wow, this usability experience is absolutely terrible. This whole thing is like using a tech demo, a very cool tech demo. But this bit where I just have kind of this random string of characters, and that's what I add my signature to, and then I submit it and hope for the best. In order for this to go anything resembling mainstream, you're gonna have to fix that. Usability's got to come way up. So I backed away, and a couple years later, I returned to go see how the industry had progressed, and I was absolutely appalled to discover that usability had come basically nowhere. I mean, you had a new coat of paint, you had a prettier interface over what was still this same bad blind signing transaction model. And this was terrible, because how's it ever going to get out of the basement if you don't resolve these fundamental problems? And ultimately, this and some things like it are what led to me coming to go work on Radix, because I finally found a group of people who had this mindset of a bigger vision of how do you realize the potential? How do you break out of this pattern everyone has of just picking some facet of Ethereum and iterating on it to make it a little better, kicking out a new chain, and basically calling it a day at that point. That's never going to move the industry forward in a meaningful way. And here were some people who had the same thought. Now, this ultimately led to us designing what we call the full stack for DeFi, which is what is shipping with Babylon. And one of the key pillars of this was an entirely new transaction model. We realized that we would never fix usability if we continued to do transactions the way other platforms did. You would never be able to put a safe user interface in front of that. So we threw it out. And what we designed was what we call the transaction manifest, which is a series of calls. It's steps that you're telling the network, this is what I want to have happen in the transaction. And those steps can include things like, at this point, if I haven't gotten 100 XRD back, then call the whole thing off and abort the transaction. This was absolutely transformational, not just from the developer perspective, because it allowed things like stitching together calls ad hoc, so you could on the fly bring different smart contracts together without having to deploy one that baked that logic. But for the user experience, this was completely transformational, because it finally enabled the development of wallet software that, without trusting the party that was building the transaction, you could actually view all the things that were going to happen in the transaction. And you could add in guarantees on the user's behalf, such that when the user goes to review the transaction, it's not just saying, I've done a dry run and this is what I saw was the outcome. It actually says, I guarantee you that the outcome is that you get back that 100 XRD that you're looking for out of this transaction. So finally, we enable a wallet experience that can be as comfortable and as confidence inspiring as using your online banking application. But you can do way cooler stuff than you can with just your online banking application. So the thing that I'm looking forward to most is after launch, when I can go on this long-running group text thread with all the friends saying, guys, crypto's finally ready for you. Go install the Radix wallet, and I don't need to sit over your shoulder while you get going. because it'll all just make sense.